That's another fair question. Are there any other hiatuses that we need to know about? Are you going to take off a couple of weeks in October? And they're going to let Kyle Trask or who's the guy? Blaine Gabbert? Sorry, Blaine. Sorry, I forgot your name. Blaine Gabbert, Kyle Trask, somebody else play quarterback? Who knows? And obviously, they're not going to tell us until it happens. That's one of the problems with not getting it out in front of something. It creates a precedent that they're not going to tell us until it happens. So who knows? There is one small chance, and I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into this other than the equivocation from Todd Bowles. I think back to when Lawrence Taylor finally decided that he was done. Lawrence Taylor shows up for training camp, and he's like, man, all these other guys are faster. All these other guys are stronger. These young guys, wow. And Bill Parcells told him, and I'm paraphrasing and maybe missing some steps, but basically Parcells told him, that means you're old. You're getting old. It's not that they're any faster than they've ever been. It's you're slower. And I've been saying for years now, 6 years, I think, and one of these days it's going to come true. Father Time's going to win. And when Father Time wins, he's got no timetable for when he's going to win. There's 7 months of the year where there's football activity. He could win in August. He could win in September. He could win in December. But there's going to be a moment where Tom Brady says, all right, I just can't do this anymore. Now, I don't think that's happened. But when you've got this kind of weird response from Todd Bowles, instead of, hell yes, he's going to be back. That's not a question. He'll be back. He'll be ready. He's all in. He's as good as ever. When you don't get that kind of response, it invites at least, I don't know. We're in such unprecedented territory with a player like Tom Brady. We have no idea what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like when he finally lands the plane.
Yeah, and he looks so good in the joint practice with the Dolphins by all accounts. Like, he looked like Tom Brady. So, I don't think there's an injury or anything there. You think back to Andrew Luck walking away right before the season began, and that had to do with an injury situation. So I'm with you. I don't see that. But at the same time, Mike, he's always been about being a leader and other players following him. And to me, when you step away from the team, and by all accounts, they don't know, the rest of the players don't know what's going on. So, you're telling your other players, and he's going to come back, and we know how hard Tom Brady is on the other players. Oh, by the way, I've been gone for 10 days, but don't worry about that. I'm glad you guys were here working together and getting ready for the season so I could step right in and play. Now, I understand. He's played 23 years. He's earned some of that credibility. He's the GOAT. I get all that. But when you're a leader and you ask guys to do a certain thing, he's always been the guy who's done even more than the rest of the team. And this doesn't feel like that to me. So there's definitely something going on here that's just extremely weird. It's out of anything he's ever done in the past. He even played, Mike, if you go back and look, I went back and looked, he even played in the first preseason game last year. Now, he didn't play much. I think he played 6 snaps in that first preseason game and then sat out the second preseason game. But he's always been a guy who's wanted to play, who's wanted to get those snaps, who's wanted to be there in practice. He organized the off-season activities even when they weren't supposed to during COVID. Like, he's always wanted to work. This is just, it's weird. It's just really, really weird.
And 2 years ago, he fought through a torn MCL for the entire season.
Yeah,
so the injury factor was very real then, and we never heard anything about it. My point is, if there is something going on, he's not going to wear it on his sleeve. And from the player's perspective, to the extent that any of them are aware of the media reports and the NFL's findings about the tampering and have connected the dots and have asked themselves, did this guy really want to be here? It is strange that a week and a half later he's gone, while the rest of them are there. This is the fundamental human problem. And again, maybe Tom Brady is so good, so accomplished, so skilled at interpersonal relations with teammates that he can get past this without it being a problem. But there is a level of resentment that creeps in. The rest of them are there busting their asses, either trying to win jobs or advance their position on the depth chart or just get better at what they do. And Tom Brady's just gone. We're all here at training camp. We're bonding. It's camaraderie. It's a shared effort. Everyone is pulling an oar. And where's Tom? 90 guys in camp. There's going to be some of those guys that don't react well to this. With 90 people, you're going to have some that are like, it's no problem, Tom Brady can do what he wants. But you're going to have some that are going to be saying, what? This is messed up. We're here busting our asses. We're sweating. We're hot. We're out here. And he just takes off for 10 days and nobody knows where he's going or what's going on. And, my thought is that if the players had known about this in advance, I don't know, maybe they run such a tight ship down there that no one would have said a word about it. I'd like to think somebody would have known something about it and somebody would have leaked it inadvertently or deliberately. But it's just a strange situation. It's unprecedented because everything about Tom Brady at this point necessarily is unprecedented. But to answer the questions that were posed to me on social media yesterday as we were posting stories about this, we cover the NFL, so we necessarily care. Does it affect us? No. Does it land on our radar screen as something out of the ordinary that requires discussion and an attempt to understand and explain? Hell yes, because this has never happened. I can't think, Charean, of a single player in all the years that I've been covering the NFL and all the years I've been following it. I can't remember a time where any player just left for a week and a half during training camp with no clear explanation as to where he was going or why.
That's a great point, Mike. The only time you see that is for an injury. If a guy's going to have a second opinion or work somewhere else. Yeah, and that's what makes it even weirder is because there is no injury associated with this. He's just left for whatever reason, for personal reasons, whatever that entails. So I think, Mike, if they had handled this better, if they'd gotten out in front, and I am curious what they told the team, and I would like to know that, exactly what players are told about Tom Brady's absence, because you can't just ignore it. You can't just say, oh, look in the locker room, he's not there, he's not out at practice, and have players wonder, where is he? So I am curious exactly what they've told the players, and I suspect they've told them the same thing that they told us. It's personal reasons. He'll be back. Take care of yourself and let's move on. This is like an injury or anything else. He's just not going to be here for a few days. But the fact that it's 10 days too, Mike, is just, if it had been, all right, he'll be back Monday, maybe that's a little less speculation. But the fact that it's 10 days, that's a long time to be away from a team.
And what's the buzzword that we hear all the time from coaches? The thing they hate more than anything else, distraction. And this creates a distraction for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If my theory / hypothesis is accurate that he bargained for this back in March, they've already signed that check. Now they're just honoring it. But regardless, this is something that as a team transitions from Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles and they're trying to get themselves ready, this is just something. And maybe the reason they didn't say anything about it is they wanted to minimize the distraction. That's where they miscalculate. Because when you throw on top of it a mystery that you created inadvertently, presumably, that enhances the distraction, especially if the players didn't know about it in advance. Just a weird situation all around. And I think it's going to be the first of plenty of weird situations as Tom Brady embarks on what could be his last year in the NFL. Definitely his last year with the Buccaneers. I'll be beyond stunned if he's back in 2023 in Tampa Bay. But I know some of the reaction I'm getting to what's going on now, it's just making people think even more strongly, Charean, that he's going to be in the Fox booth next year, that there won't be a 2023 with another team in an effort to win a Super Bowl with a third different franchise, that this is going to be it for Tom Brady.
It sure feels like that, Mike. I mean, and he said that in his retirement announcement. He talked about the commitment that you have to football, and this just doesn't feel like that commitment that he talked about in that retirement speech. The competitive commitment is what he called it, and this doesn't feel like that. And it does feel like that maybe this is his last season. Maybe he won't be with and I always thought that he would play another year with somebody else to have another chance to win a Super Bowl with a third team. But now I'm not so sure about that. This does give you pause about what his future entails. But we'll see when he comes back, and when he plays well, then maybe he thinks he has another season in him, and maybe he gets this same agreement from somebody else. Maybe he skips all of training camp and shows up for the first game. But you think about all the new parts that they have, Mike. Chris Godwin just came back to practice, but you think about Kyle Rudolph and Julio Jones and all that, and he's always been this guy who's wanted to work with his receivers. Has he gotten enough time to do that? Will he have enough when he comes back? Yes, he probably will, because he is the GOAT, but I just know how he's operated in the past and how much he's liked practice and to be with those guys and to figure out what they do well and how far he needs to throw the ball, those things, just that timing you have with receivers. And this is just 10 days missed with those guys that he's not going to have and not going to be there.
A lot of questions in Florida. If only we had a confidential informant to help clear them up. I'm still talking about Tom Brady, by the way. Nothing else that's going on in Florida currently. By the way, the Dolphins' door, I think, is slammed shut for Brady for 23, beyond the tampering ugliness.
Yeah.
There's reporting, and I believe the reporting is accurate, that Bruce Beal is on the outs with Stephen Ross. He's not going to be the next majority owner of the team. And regardless of whether it relates to the tampering and the tanking or anything else, it looks like it's on the path to being over and done. And Beal was the attraction. Beal and Brady are buddies. And if Beal is no longer the next owner of the Dolphins, I don't think Brady ends up with a piece of the team. I don't think Brady ends up on the team, unless the attraction is so overwhelming after this year. If Tua ends up failing, the rest of the team is great. Maybe still, because at the end of the day, he's only going to play for another team if he thinks he can go there and win a Super Bowl. Yes, he's ultimately all about team, except when he's taking a 10-day break, but he's all about Tom winning the next Super Bowl. That's what he wants to do. And for all we know, he's going to win number 8 this year in Tampa.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.